What's your top story?
Oh, it's difficult to say really because I've been travelling. I've not seen a TV or a radio or a newspaper for a few weeks. But I did see in a service station about the earthquake in China.
Top story of this week was the big earthquake in China. It's incredible how many people died there.
I'd have to say my top story are many stories of many people that are hurting all across the world right now because of natural disasters. I think it's an opportunity for people to reach out and, as I say, and help one another. First thing is to ask the question about how to do that, whether it be donating to a relief organization or personally getting involved. But I think the first thing is gaining awareness.
My top story this week is probably the earthquake that's happening in China. You know, we've been reading about it in the mail in the hotel room every day. Just reading about what's happened, how poorly the houses were built, how the death tolls increased almost every day. It's a very sad story. My company has raised money. I've seen people here raising money, but I've lived abroad a lot of my life, and I'd actually like to see the countries at home do more. China's a rich country, better building code. They could have done a lot better job, I think, actually.
I think this week the top story has been the two major disasters in the world. First of all, the disaster in Myanmar, the cyclone a couple of weeks ago, and how that took the news for a week, and it's still terrible what's going on there. And then the earthquake in China, and it seems like when there's two major ones, that the latest one seems to get the attention, whereas both really do need full attention. Particularly in Myanmar, it seems like the evil regime there, well, something has to be done to allow the world to help its people, whether it's parachuting goods in or whatever.
What's your top story?
I'm afraid it's not a good question to ask me these days because I've been working on my thesis and I'm not involved. I'm sorry.
My top story relates to Bill 51, where the pharmaceutical companies are trying to railroad the system so they control vitamins and herbs and they can no longer be sold through health food stores. It's important because it takes the control away from everyday person and allows them to optimize it for their financial gain.
What's your top story?
I'm from Brazil, and my top story is the environment over there. I lived in Grand Prairie before Vancouver, and the people seem to be very aware of the environment and worry about preservation. And in Brazil, I feel that it's still something that people are still learning. There is a lot of people worry and doing a lot of nice stuff, but it's still not a day-to-day issue or a common population issue. Like here in Canada, any supermarket you go, you have the options of the biodegradable bags or paper bags or other options. It's just the simple things, but the simple things makes a lot of difference.
What's your top story?
Well, in order to answer that question, I would have to know news.
What's your top story?
So my top story is that I'm here because I would like to learn English very well and I would like to improve my English very well, and that's important for me, and that's my story. It's very nice weather today, it's very nice. I'm glad I am here.
What's your top story?
Friends are visiting from Calgary, and so we have been enjoying Vancouver a lot. We've had gorgeous weather, so we've been exploring a little bit.
What's your top story?
I don't know if I have one. I've just been working too hard.
I don't think I could come up with the top story right away, but we're visiting Vancouver from the US, and I feel like the news is very different. We were actually watching the CBC last night, and there was video footage from China. There were shots of Chinese people and what they were going through after the huge earthquake. Back home, there's none of that. We actually talked about it last night. We said, wow, we're actually being made to feel like these are people. And we don't get that back home. It's not the same thing.
Well, that was our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Jeff Birmingham, and this is mytopstory.com for May 19th, 2008.